I'm an epidemiologist. The National Institutes of Health website states that exposure to brominated flame retardants in humans is linked to reduced IQ, reduced fertility, birth defects, hormonal effects, and behavioral changes. In the animal studies, exposure to brominated flame retardants has been shown to be genotoxic, immunotoxic, neurotoxic, and carcinogenic. Brominated flame retardants are persistent and bioaccumulative and are present in populations worldwide. The health effects of chlorinated flame retardants are summarized by NIH as endocrine disruption, carcinogens, toxicity to multiple system organs, and presence in human tissues confirmed by biomonitoring. I've been an epidemiologist for 10 years. I received my doctorate in epidemiology from the Harvard School of Public Health in 2007, where I studied long-term neurological health effects of exposures early in life, during pregnancy and infancy. From a public health perspective, it is important to reduce the exposure of pregnant women, babies, and children to known and suspected carcinogens, neurotoxins, and reproductive toxins due to their unique susceptibility to the harmful effects. Carcinogens, neurotoxins, and hormone-disrupting chemicals are all more likely to result in significant health effects for fetuses, babies, and children due to their rapid growth and development, smaller size, and decreased ability to eliminate and detoxify harmful chemicals. A 2011 study of baby products found that 80% of products tested contained a halogenated flame retardant additive. Flame retardants are not physically bound to the products in which they are applied. They migrate out of the home products and enter the air in homes and accumulate in house dust. People are exposed through inhalation, by ingestion when dust gets on our hands and therefore into our mouths, and through the skin. Babies and children are more highly exposed as they spend more time crawling and playing on floors and have increased hand-to-mouth contact. In addition, they are also exposed through breast milk. Brominated flame retardants are most notorious for their associations with impaired development and neurotoxicity. Children who are more exposed in the womb and in infancy are more likely to be born preterm, with low birth weight, with suboptimal neonatal health, lower IQ, and exhibit impairments in cognition, motor skills, and behavior, including attention, impulsivity, and anxiety. The hormone disruptive potential also has implications for reproductive health. Early life exposure has been associated with age of first menstruation, irregular menstruation, age at development of pubic hair, genitourinary abnormalities in boys, including undescended testicles, and markers of impaired fertility and sperm quality. The potential risk of developing cancer due to exposure to brominated flame retardants is particularly concerning. One study suggested an association between home dust levels and an increased risk of childhood leukemia in California. Another showed that the mothers of sons with testicular cancer had higher levels of polybrominated flame retardant chemicals. And an old study looked at cancer outcomes in a small but highly exposed cohort and found a strong association with digestive system cancers and a suggested but weaker relationship with lymphoma. They have also been associated with important risk factors for cardiovascular disease, including diabetes, obesity, and the metabolic syndrome. Chlorinated tris was the most common flame retardant identified in the screening study of baby products. You may recall that in 1978, chlorinated tris was removed from children's pajamas due to evidence about its carcinogenicity. Despite that move almost 40 years ago, our children's home products remain highly saturated with this chemical. In 2006, the CPSC concluded that chlorinated tris in furniture results in exposure level to children, primarily by inhalation, that was higher than the agency's acceptable daily intake in relation to non-cancer health effects. For cancer, they estimated that lifetime exposure would result in an excess cancer risk of 300 per million, far greater than the acceptable limit of 1 per million. Even more alarming, exposure during the first 2 years of life alone conferred a cancer risk of 20 per million, 20 times the acceptable cancer risk estimation. The need to regulate the use of halogenated flame retardants is underscored by the growing evidence regarding their toxic and persistent effects on the developing brain and reproductive system, disruption of hormone homeostasis, and their carcinogenic potential. In addition, their bioaccumulation and ecological effects highlight the need for regulation with the goal of protecting both human health and the environment. Regulation of halogenated flame retardants represents a valuable opportunity to reduce the exposure of children to environmental contaminants that can contribute to an increased risk of cancer, impair typical brain development, and disrupt their hormones and development of reproductive functions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Senator Conley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doctor, as an epidemiologist, are you aware of a single study, one study, that says exposure to this class of chemicals is either safe or neutral for public health purposes?
There are studies that have failed to show significant relationships. There are also studies that have failed to show relationships between smoking and lung cancer. There's always poorly conducted studies, small studies, studies with methodological limitations that make for known associations, present associations to not be found. So there is some inconsistency in the literature. Not every single study has found significant effects for all of the associations that I mentioned. When you see inconsistencies in the literature, you have to start thinking about biological plausibility. And that's where, in addition to the many, many studies in humans, there are so many studies in animals which are more easily controlled, and you can see the effects more quickly. And those studies have confirmed significant associations between exposure to these flame retardants and cognitive, behavioral, and motor deficits in animals, as well as proliferation of cancer cells and effects on thyroid hormones, which causes many of these effects. So there's very strong evidence of biological plausibility, which suggests a causal association, even in the face of some inconsistencies in the epidemiological literature.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Senator Lombardi.
Thank you, Doctor. Just playing on Senator Conley's question a minute. The gentleman that spoke earlier testified that there's no direct link. And what I guess I'm asking, is there any emphatic study that, I understand there could be inconsistencies, there could be other factors, other contributing factors to it, but is there a study out there that has actually defended these products and said, no, there's absolutely no evidence that they cause cancer or cause all the necessary side effects that you've itemized?
None that I've seen. So in my full testimony,